Hello everyone, welcome to my sewing room and welcome to my channel Stash Stitcher. I'm Kim, and in my video today I thought I would take you through my WIP box. It's that time of year where I like to visit my box to try and finish at least 2 or 3 things before the end of the year. It just makes me feel like I'm keeping it under some sort of control, but it is quite busy. In the past, it's usually been overflowing, but I have managed to get a lid on it the last couple of years. So it's been quite nice to actually be more contained. But it sits in the corner of my room and I'm very aware that it's there, but I don't normally visit it until November time. And I do try to make an effort to get a few things finished. Now, I'm one of those sewers who I don't have a problem with abandoning things if I'm not feeling it, or if I get bored with it, or I've come across something which, like a technique or whatever, that I'm not happy with. I will just throw it in there and forget about it, and I move on to something else that I do enjoy making. So I thought what I would do is I would just pull out everything from my WIP box and go through it. Now, it's not in any particular order, and as you know, I'm somebody who keeps lots of notes on my projects. So I've got my project sheet folder here, and this I generally have two folders. This folder holds all of the projects from last year going back, so from 2024 going back, from when I started to use project sheets. So and on these project sheets, some of them have been flagged. So I will have a project sheet, for instance, that will have one of these on, so I know straight away when I go and visit that folder that there are projects in there that are still not finished. So I pulled all of those out, and I'm just going to go through this random mess on my table and work through some of these projects, well, all of these projects, and hopefully I will be inspired to finish a few of them before the end of the year. WIP number 1, it is a dress. It's the S9013, and the fabric is a beautiful silk and cotton with country flower design. And looking at the fabric here, it just looks gorgeous. I bought the fabric in 2021 from Stitch Fabrics, and you can see this is beautiful. It's beautiful color, and because it's so sheer, I started to line the bodice. And if I look at my project sheet, I can see, right, the reason why I abandoned it is because it says the skirt section's too small. So it's quite figure hugging. Now the project sheet is, obviously this is quite an old WIP, and this is before I started putting my weight on my project sheet. So I don't know what weight I was when I cut this out. So it might be good for me to just give this a really good iron and try it on. If it doesn't fit, then I will repurpose the fabric and make something else out of it. The other thing I noticed is I've also cut into my original pattern. So this is obviously before I started tracing all my patterns off. So if the dress doesn't fit, that means that I really need to bin the pattern because it's not going to fit me. And I really like the dress pattern, so I will put that on my list to repurchase if things don't go to plan. So that's a shame, but I don't know whether this is a WIP that I would do at this time of year, because it is a very summery thing. I mean, the fabric is just like so thin and so see-through. I mean, it feels really, really nice, very cool for a hot summer's day. So that will be parked up until I get the urge to finish that. I mean, it's only 2 years old. Right, so WIP number 2. Now this is a shirt dress that I made. So it was a hack. So my favorite shirt pattern, which is Butterick's 6747, used to be Butterick's 5526. That's no longer in publication. So this shirt is effectively B6747. And I decided that I had this beautiful fabric which I bought from Cloth Spot. It is a satin, no, a satin fabric, and this beautiful bronze. So this is called Queen Anne's lace cap on bronze satin. So you've got these beautiful flowers here with this quite beautiful, vibrant blue, pale blue, and purple flower. It looks a bit like elderflower actually. Um, and I've also put these buttons on. So it's finished. As a garment, it's finished, but I never wore it because the dress used to sit just above my knees, and I haven't got the most attractive knees in the world. So it wasn't something I pulled out of my wardrobe. But as a shirt, I would definitely wear this. So I just need to spend half an hour just finding the hemline that I like, hemming it, and getting it in the wardrobe. I mean, that is like 99% finished. So that would be a quick whip out of my box and wearable. So I think I will actually finish that. So I will leave that beside my pile of projects to be done, and I will get that finished. So that will be one project out of my WIP box. So that would be great. So this is WIP number 3, and I'm just going to pull these off the table so there's no order to them at all. And I started working on this, I don't know, it was last year or the year before, and this was a seat, a chair seat cover, and the chair in particular sits in my treatment room downstairs, and I do beauty treatments, and I wanted to have something that was a little bit quirky to replace the old seat cover. Now my husband has a habit of taking this chair out of my treatment room and using it when he's painting. So the chair got covered in little splodges of paint, and the seat cover itself had got quite old and started to tear. So it definitely needed some love. I started to sand the actual wooden part of the chair, and I got bored with that because that was hard work. But I need to do that because it's only half finished. And I started to also design the seat cover. So the seat cover itself is really simple. I just found this fat quarter with Paris scene, the Eiffel Tower, and I stitched on. So I machine stitched on a pair of red lips with a blanket stitch, and I'll put some more detail in. But I thought what I might do is I might quilt that and put that as a replacement seat cover. So this isn't a difficult um, whip, but I know that I have to actually finish sanding the chair and also quilting this. So I don't think this is going to be done this year, but if I can persuade my husband to sand the chair, I might actually get it finished. So I'll work on him and I'll let you know how I get on. So that's whip number 3. So whip number 4. Now this is a tapestry. This has been in my whip box for over 20 years. I used to do a lot of tapestries when I was younger, and when my children were young, you know what children like, they're always running around, they've always got sticky fingers, and because these things used to take me so long to make, as soon as I finished one, I used to literally tuck it in a cupboard, and my mindset was I'll make it into something once the kids are a bit older and it doesn't get covered in jam and chocolate and all those lovely things. I'll make it into a cushion. And I've had a few of these and they have been made into cushions. I did do my crown cushion when I first started my channel quite a while back. And this is the last tapestry that I have. And it's called Bird and Fish original because it is a bird and a fish. So it's a kingfisher with this fish. I don't know what type of fish that is. And not a kingfisher, a heron. Oh dear, heron. Yeah, sorry. So when you do tapestries, generally they get a bit misshapen because it gets pulled all over the place when you're stitching, and it needs to be put on a board and stretched back into shape. So I need to stretch it into a more squarer shape because it's a bit skew whiff at the moment. And the process of it is really easy. You just need to spray it with water, make it quite damp, and then put it on a board so that it gets pinned to a board. I mean, I think I probably have done it already once because I got some tack marks in the canvas. So I just need to finish that, stretch it into a proper square, and then once I've got that, I can make it into a cushion. So that's probably about 75% finished. I just need to spend a bit of time stretching it and finding a backing for it, and maybe some really nice trim just to sort of elevate it a bit more. But it's a beautiful tapestry, and I just need to concentrate on getting it finished. Yeah, I really like that, and I think I might work on that as well. So I will put that on my little pile of things to do. So WIP number 5 is embarrassingly like 99.9% nearly finished, and I have shown you it a few times before, but for some reason I just have not finished it, and I don't know why. But it is a free pattern from Tulip Pink. It's one of her free cushion patterns, and it's a this Volkswagen van, and I just made it out of scrap fabrics, all Tulip Pink, to make it up. So the pattern comes with all these templates. I just cut out all of the templates, cut out the fabric. The fabric has been stuck to heat and bond. That's been then stuck onto this background, and then I have stitched each piece around. So it was quite a fun make so far, and I wanted to make it into cushion, and I've already put some piping around it. I've even got the backing, so I've got my backing here to go onto the back. You can see it's been quilted. I mean, it's even got the wadding and the cotton backing to protect the actual design. And I've got a zip somewhere as well. So this could literally be finished in, an hour. Wouldn't even take that. So I need to also get that finished. And I'm starting to think, should I put it in my pile of things to get done? Yeah, I think I might just get that done because it would be too embarrassing to show you that next year that it still wasn't finished. So that's WIP number 5. So WIP number 6, I don't know whether I can actually call this a WIP because this was one of my Make 9 2024 projects, and I had it in a basket. So I picked the pattern and I've got the fabric, and I thought I'll make it up as one of those projects because I wanted to make a skirt, and I hadn't made a skirt for a long time. And you know that I've only just made my first skirt in like forever. And this skirt pattern is really, really nice. It's the Burda 5991. And I wanted to make the one with the pockets on, and I have this beautiful fabric which I set aside for it in this sort of burnt orange it's a cotton sateen and it's got a bit of stretch to it. So it's a really, really nice fabric. Um, but it's not really a WIP because I mean, this could go in my fabric stash and be used for something else, and so could the pattern. So don't know whether I could call that a WIP, but I might, if I don't get it finished this year, I might put it on my Make 926 list because I didn't do one for this year. And maybe because of my Easy Does It skirt that I made recently, I'm now inspired to maybe have a go at making more skirts, that this could also be on that list of skirt projects. WIP number 7. Now this is the Love Notions Rockford Raglan, and I decided I wanted to make this sweatshirt and use up some old fabric, some scrap fabric I had from a previous make. And ironically, it's the fabric that's in my sweatshirt here. And I have I cut out the sleeves. I cut out the sleeves for the raglan, and I did match it up with some pink, very pale pink ribbed fabric. But each time I looked at it, I just thought the two fabrics don't actually go. The ribbed fabric was too pink, and whereas this is a bit more almondy, crisp, biscuity, that sort of colour. And I thought I really needed to find um, a sort of more sturdier sweatshirt fabric that would work with this accented fabric. So that got put in the box because I couldn't find a fabric to go with it that would be a really good colour match. So I think that will go back into my WIP box, though that would be a really quick make. But I have been looking at sweatshirt fabric lately, so I will carry on looking with this project also in mind. So I need to just park this up because I'm not inspired to actually finish this one. WIP number 8. Now this WIP was a batched cut project, I think way back in February, and it's the Atenas jacket. And I made a pair of Seaforth pants in this beautiful dark teal twill. And I thought what I would do is I would make a jacket to go with those trousers. So I had like a jacket suit. But this has been hanging around in my WIP box for quite a while. And all of the pieces have been labelled up. I've got them marked on the actual fabric and the little post-it. So it's all been cut out and it is ready to go. And I think the reason why I haven't made it is because it is quite an involved make. But I have made a few Atenas jackets, and I do pull those out of my wardrobe quite a lot because they're just such a nice looking jacket. So I will try and maybe schedule to get this done over Christmas, because I've gone through all of the hassle of tracing the pattern off and cutting the fabric. So it just means putting it under the machine and getting it made up, which is quite nice because sometimes the thought of tracing things off puts me off making new things because it's such a lengthy process. But I've got no excuse really not to make this up. So I might make a note on my calendar to have a look at this maybe over the Christmas period when I've got a bit of time off and I can really get my teeth into those more involved makes. So watch this space. WIP number 9. Now this is quite an unusual one because I quilted some fabric for an open wide bag and realized when I quilted it I had made a mistake with cutting out the fabric pieces. So I bought some more of the fabric and finished the bag. So the finished bag is this bag here. So I've got this beautiful open wide bag, and It has actually been sitting up on my shelf, and I've forgotten about it. But this would make a really nice bag for my socks. So that's a finished bag. But what I did have was I have this panel of quilted fabric that I had made. So I've got my Tula pink fabric there, right way round, and inside I've got this contrasting fabric, and it's been beautifully quilted on soft and stable, so it's really nice and springy. And I did think, what could I make with that? And I could make like a glasses case, or maybe a Kindle case, because I'd made a Kindle case for my son's girlfriend Danny, who got a new Kindle for her birthday, and I really enjoyed making that. So I could possibly use that for another Kindle case. I don't know if there's enough fabric here to do that, but I will find something to use this on, because it does take a long time to quilt this, and it would just be a shame not to use it. So I will have a little think about using this, and something's just popped into my head actually. The A gift for November 25 is doing the rounds at the moment, so I could actually maybe use this for a gift for November. So I will have a little think about that and come back to you. um, Now the last WIP project I have is something I think I'm going to abandon, and it's a moulage for my dressmaker's dummy. So I've got Myrtle, she sits in the corner, she is padded out ridiculously, and I haven't used her at all. I just hang things on her, and I mean, I literally throw things on her, so she's not really um worth the space. And I sometimes think maybe I should buy myself a new dressmaker's dummy, because the moulage that I started working on probably two 2 or 3 years ago now, um, was when I was at a different weight I am now. So it would mean that I'd have to go through that process of doing all those meticulous measurements and drafting out a block, and then making the block up in the muslin, and then fitting it to Myrtle. And I just don't know whether I want to go through all of that pain and process, because it took me an age with all of the measurements before I got my daughter to help me. And we spent an afternoon literally measuring every inch of my body. But I don't think, I mean, I've got all of the trace pattern off here, and I've got all of my measurements here. So this was a craftsy, um, it's a body sloper for a moulage. So yeah, there are pages and pages of it, and then once you've got all of your measurements, you have to make this effectively a bodysuit in muslin, and then fit it to your dressmaker's dummy, and then you pad it out to mold it so it's in uh, the image of your own body. But I don't know whether I want to do, I don't know whether I've got the inclination to do it actually. So I don't know about that project. I need to really think about whether Myrtle is a valuable asset to me as she stands at the moment. And at the moment, I'm just throwing things on her, literally throwing things on her. So she is not being used as a dressmaker's dummy, and she takes up precious space in my sewing room. So I will revisit that WIP in particular. So I think that is it. That's all my WIPs, and I will try to work on the ones that I've set aside, and hopefully you will see those being finished, and I will showcase those in future videos. Uh, just let me know. Do you have a WIP box? Are you somebody who can't abide having WIPs? You always have to finish what you start? Or are you like me, where you just abandon things on a whim and just move on to the next thing? Let me know. I'd be interested to read your comments. So until next time, have a fabulous week sewing, And if you haven't liked, hyped, subscribed, do all those lovely things. And I will see you all very soon.